Hey, how's it going, guys? Alright, so today I'm gonna build for you a couple bud switches. So I'm gonna build you some horizontal designs and some upside down vertical designs. But first, I want to explain to you how a bud switch even works. So a bud switch works like this. Typically, they're used with pistons, and what happens is when I send a current at a piston from an angle, that piston shouldn't be active, right? Because current doesn't work that way. But for some reason, when I update the piston, the game is going to be like, maybe I should be taking that current. So it takes it. So, you can update it many ways. Jukebox, putting a disc in it, opening a fence, or placing a block. And that's an update. So then the game's like, yeah, I'm going to activate from that current. But now I'm not going to deactivate. So typically, how do you deactivate something? Well, you take away the current, right? But nope, it still wants to stay active until you update it again. So I take away the current, it's going to stay active. But then I need to update it again, and it's going to want to correct itself. Now it can't auto-correct itself because the game's just not built to work that way. So if I place another block there, it's going to update and it corrects itself. So that's how bud works. It can be from really any angle except for a bottom angle. Its bottom angle does not work. Now, I can do this like many ways. I can take a piece of redstone right there, and it's going in it from an angle, because if you see that block's an angle. Doesn't matter where the redstone is. It could be on top of that block, it could be from the side, it could even be coming from the bottom. But as long as at an angle, it'll activate. And that's how it works. Alright, so cool little bud switch design I made. Now this is my first horizontal design. You take a block, put it on the back of the piston, put a torch. That torch is going to send a current through that block to that piece of redstone. Now that redstone is going to be hooked up to a double inverter. Now that torch is going to be making your bud current. So now that block has a current at an angle. When I activate it, now it's going to take away the current from that torch, and it's going to toggle the bud, or the double torch tower, and yeah, I'll toggle the bud so that there's no more current being applied to it, so that when I update it again, they'll deactivate. So then, therefore, it's an automatic bud switch. So that's pretty cool compact design. Now you're probably wondering, okay, why are you using a torch tower if you could just run the current up like that? Well, because I'm not having a long enough delay from the redstone to give enough time for the piston to stay in that active position or that open position. So then what's happening is it activates, the current disappears, deactivates, and it just keeps looping. So then what I could do is just supply a repeater there. I'm just going to add a little bit of a delay, which is the downside of it. So now it's not going to work quite as fast. But not only is it adding a delay, it's also keeping the current active for a one delay tick longer. So keep that in mind. Repeaters don't just delay the current, they also delay the amount of time that the current stays active. So just in case you didn't know that about repeaters. So then now I'm giving the piston enough time to stay active, and then giving it enough time to stay active. There you go. So that is how bud switches work. So let's get into our upside down models. Now upside down models, they work a little bit different. Kind of like a totally different glitch. Alright. So what happens is once I have this piston butted, it's gonna go down. It's gonna send a current to that piece of redstone. Repeater. That. This will be our green circuit. This green circuit is what's actually supplying the bud. And I'm gonna just take away that block. So that repeater is gonna send a current to that piece of redstone, which is gonna deactivate that torch. Now what that torch is doing, it keeps activating, it keeps activating that piston up and down, which is supplying current there, which is turning the torch off. And it's kind of like an endless loop. Just keeps doing that over and over and over again. So it's kind of broken, right? And that's not really a bud switch. All that's happening is the current from that torch is going through that block and activating the piston. That piston is going around and turning off the torch. So there's no bud there really. So then we'll take the current from a piece of redstone. We'll go down this way. Repeater. They're going to use a repeater so we can receive that current from that piece of redstone. Alright? And then let's take away that torch. So we need to get that to stop activating. So we need something to block it. If I have a piston that pushes a block there, all that's going to happen is when it activates, it's going to push that block down there and it's going to break it, right? So instead of doing that, all you do is place a regular piston. It can be a sticky, just as long as the piston place it there. And what's going to happen is the current is going to go through there. Well, first of all, I'm going to place my torch. So the torch is going to activate the piston. It's going to go down. It's going to go to that piece of redstone, deactivate the torch, and then before that torch reactivates, we have the current going through here, and this piston is going to be extended. So when that piston is extended, it's going to try to activate, but it can't. And then now you have your glitch. So now it's glitched, because it's receiving a current, and it's not active. So that's the same as the bud switch, right? You're giving a current to a piston at an angle, and it's not active. Well, we're giving this piston a current straight, and it's not active. So then when I update it, it activates, right? And then it just keeps doing that glitch over and over and over again every time I do a block update. It should be active right now because that torch is on, but it's not. And that's how a vertical piston bud switch works. Alright, so that's kind of a cool model right there. And then, yeah, I think that's pretty well all I got for you for today as far as bud switch designs go. And feel free to check out my bud arrays. Bud arrays are pretty cool because it's pretty much like a sensor strip. So let's say you have a long sensor strip on the ground, and whenever you put anything on it, it if I can clear up the weather here. See, weather clear. I'm an Xbox player, what can I say? Alright, so yeah, keep in mind, by the way, all these designs are made on Xbox, so they're perfectly compatible, so you don't have to worry about that. And what was I talking about? So yeah, bud array is like a sensor strip. I had a sensor strip on the ground, and there was pistons. I suppose it would be pistons, right? So imagine these pistons upside down. That would be your bud array, which is like a long sensor strip. And whenever I place a block on top of one of those pistons, it's going to detect that and activate. But you know, I'm not going to sit here and explain a bud array because I have a couple of videos. So feel free to check them out. And hope you guys enjoyed and have a little bit of a better understanding for bud switches. Alright guys, I'll catch you later.